when we find a young person, we're going to approach them as sort of calmly and respectfully as possible. So a lot of time we'll be waking young people up, and what we don't want to do is sort of startle them or shock them in any way.
Hi, I'm Clove. I'm the Rough Sleeper Coordinator at Centrepoint.
I am Taylor. I'm the Rough Sleeper support worker.
And we work for Manchester Centrepoint's Rough Sleepers team. We're currently on outreach at 6 a.m, which we do 4 times a week.
We're looking for young people that are bedded down, rough sleeping, just to check how they're doing and see if we can get them into accommodation.
A lot of young people want to stay hidden. They go to places like roundabouts, parks, alleyways.
Sometimes like in supermarket car parks, places like that. But then we've been to places in the past as varied as like graveyards and abandoned churches. On average, I'd say it's anywhere from 3 or 4 bedding sites a day to sometimes up to about 8 or 9. There's a lot of our young people will have the belongings stolen. People will try and rob them, and that can be their phones, their wallets, and sometimes their ID. We've had young people be attacked before whilst they've been trying to sleep, and actually that prevents a lot of them from sleeping during the night. They just don't feel safe.
Every year during this time, cold weather is starting. Every young person rough sleeping this winter faces more risk of death, and it's important for us, together with other Manchester services, to find these young people and bring them in somewhere safe. This is a reality of homelessness. Rat activity, sewage, rubbish, people talking. We had a young person bed down here. They were still working. They were sleeping just behind us here under that staircase. He would wake up in the morning, he would go to work, and then he would wait for Centrepoint to try and find him accommodation. This is a happy case because he's now in supported accommodation. He's been there for a few months now and he's doing really well. But the reality is we're seeing more and more young people forced into these situations. It's now 9 o'clock and we've just finished outreach. We have seen 3 young people today rough sleeping on the streets of Manchester, so they all need accommodation. It's time to get back to the office, look for housing for them all tonight so they don't have to spend another night on the street. We have 60 young people we're supporting on our team. We work very closely with the local authority, a bed every night scheme and other charities to not only get our young people into suitable accommodation, but to help them with things like finding work, benefits, mental health, substance misuse. It's now 12 o'clock. I have been trying to look for accommodation for the 3 young people that we found this morning, while my colleagues Taylor and Sharon are touching base with clients we have in a range of hostels, hotels and emergency accommodation. Last week we saw a young man rough sleeping in the city centre. Fortunately, we had a vacancy in one of our properties, so we will be visiting this young man today, doing a welfare check, having a chat and just making sure that he's doing well. My colleague Jordan runs 5 properties that we have for young rough sleepers. A lot of the young people that we have in our properties come from the streets. They might have been rough sleeping for a few months or a few nights. We work with these young people throughout the whole time they're at the properties until they're in long-term accommodation and have the skills and the support that they need so they're not presenting as homeless again. It's now nearly 3 o'clock and the day is over. We managed to find accommodation for 2 out of the 3 young people that we saw in outreach, and hopefully tomorrow we can find a 3rd person somewhere to stay. Properties are always a lovely part of the job because you're seeing young people that you saw once underneath bridges and alleyways in accommodation and doing well. However, we can't always get people into accommodation quickly. It's not always an easy job. I've been here for 5 years and I've experienced around 8 deaths of young people that I worked with, and it never becomes easier, and nor should it. Despite the difficulties of this job and how hard it can be seeing people as young as 18 on the streets, it's incredibly rewarding. We go from seeing young people on the streets like this morning into safe accommodation like we did this afternoon. We're working with them until they're in a home, until they have a job, until they have support networks and they know that they're the same as every single person in the world and they deserve to be safe, happy and respected.